The definition of money grab is an undignified or unprincipled acquisition of a large sum of money with little effort. You guys know I'm the mad scientist when it comes to professional wrestling. I love dealing in truth and in fact. I love breaking the numbers game and cracking the statistical codes. While everybody and their mother has an opinion these days, especially when it comes to professional wrestling, I don't want to be another one of them. I love dealing in numbers and statistics, facts, and truth. This is going to be one of those vids where we're dealing in those numbers. We're dealing in said statistics. So if numbers give you a headache, if you don't like dealing in numbers and statistics and truth and in facts, this is not the vid. This is not the PCast for you. Because the mad genius, the mad scientist is back at work. Because I've done my research, I went back and took my history lesson. And boy, do I got some numbers for you as it pertains to the old man in Stamford, Connecticut, and how and why he's having financially a miserable 2020. You see, as all the numbers and metrics continue to fall for WWE, merchandise, ratings, asses not showing up to the arenas, every metric is down. Yet Vince McMahon was getting richer the last couple of years. Normally, when a company's numbers are falling, said company is losing money unless they see the writing on the wall and think the train is too far off the track and know they have to get off that train and go for the money grab. Vince McMahon knew for years now. I firmly believe that Vincent Kennedy McMahon knew for years that he wanted out of the pro wrestling game. He knows he wants to sell WWE, and that became never more evident when he admitted it just a few years ago when asked about the sale to a company like Disney. Walt Disney. And McMahon said absolutely that's something we would entertain. And not far after, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon both admitted they're absolutely looking into offers. They're always listening to new offers. When all three, Vince, H, and Steph, were all talking about listening to offers at a time where the product was stale, stagnant, lame, repetitive, redundant, miserable. And they're talking about selling the company. Guys, these are not just minor details. You look at where the company was, and then you hear what the honchos are talking about. You have to put the puzzle pieces in place. You have to connect those dots. That's not a coincidence. That when your company is failing, at least from the fans' perspective, that you're talking about selling. So right from the jump, that caught my attention. So I started thinking, well, the signs, if what I believe to be true ends up becoming truth, then I'm going to look for signs that Vince McMahon is trying to go for a money grab. That'll tell me that he truly is trying to get out. That'll tell me that he thinks the train is too far off the track, or it'll take too much time, energy, and effort for him to put the train back on track, so he wants out. I started looking for signs of a money grab. And sure enough, here comes the XFL. That was Vince's out. Still reeling from the first time that the XFL was a complete colossal failure. He didn't want to admit that. He's too stubborn. He's too proud of a man in his own dome piece. His ego would not come to terms that that was a failure. So it was clear when I started to see hundreds of millions of dollars being put into the XFL relaunch, that Vince wants XFL 2 to 3 years, 2023 tops, when XFL was standing on its own 2 feet, there was no doubt in my mind Vince was selling WWE complete. Or at least that's what McMahon's hopes were. But I saw how much money was going into this. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Selling his own WWE stock to finance the XFL. I started to see as the past couple of years went by, he stopped literally and completely listening to the fans. When we said, hey, this Rusev Day might have something. Even though I personally wasn't behind the whole shtick, I saw Rusev have potential. Sasha Banks. But instead, they got placed into irrelevancy, and it was Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair thrusted into the spotlight year after year. When we said, Asuka, Ember Moon, Vince gave us Alexa and Lacey Evans. It was clear he wasn't even listening anymore, or just didn't give a shit. And then he cashes in on $1 billion deal with Fox. He found a network that didn't know what they were doing, didn't know what they were getting themselves into. If you saw all the numbers and metrics going down drastically by the month, by the year, there's no way any company with a brain in their dome piece, anybody, would give Vince McMahon $1 billion to play WWE SmackDown on their network. But Vince is a great used car salesman. I could just picture what he said in those sales meetings when he pictured WWE, at least in Fox's dome pieces and those suits and ties. He pictured it as the conglomerate, the spectacle that it could be and should be, not what it has been in the past several years. Vince sold the WWE on what it should be, not what it is, and not what he is going to continue to make it. And Fox bought in completely. And Vince put that price tag of $1 billion and he got it. And now look at Fox. Looking at those 1-point some-odd ratings, if they're lucky, dripping into the low 2-point ratings. Not getting a big return on their investment yet, are they? And do you honestly think that's going to change? Do you think that's going to improve in 2020? Highly unlikely. There's no factual data to back that up. There's just data to show that it'll go lower and lower. And once it gets significantly and consistently into the 1-point sem-odds, then you might as well just put reality TV on there for much cheaper. Because you just lost out on $1 billion. But you can't blame Vince. He went for the money grab. The writing was on the wall for his own product. He was going to cash in. He knew fans were no longer showing up to those arenas. Fans are no longer buying merchandise. Fans are dropping by the droves in his own ratings. So he knew, where can I get my money real quick before I sell, before I go and just pitch the XFL to what I want it to be? What do I have to do now to get the most amount of money? It ain't gonna come from the Hendersons down in Alabama spending their $12 a ticket to go see a live show. He's not going to get rich that way. No, he's going to sell the Fox executives on that $1 billion. And then he sold that big deal to Saudi Arabia. Tens of millions of dollars per show, 10-show limit up front. Hundreds of millions will be gained by that. He went for the money grab. These are all the things I started to see over the past couple of years, and it just instilled my first ever intuition of what to believe, what to make about all of this selling to Disney. My first gut instinct was, this dude is gonna go for some quick money grabs. If what I believe to be true ends up being such, and that's exactly what happened. He stopped listening to any of the fans, he went into just the money grab scenarios, and here we are in 2020. And it's all being thrown right back into the old man's face. His master plan has hit a huge roadblock. Because McMahon already spent up to $400,000 in a loss to relaunch the XFL. But he knew it was going to take hundreds of millions of dollars at an upfront loss in order to gain anything long term. He knew it was going to take a couple of years for the XFL to become something. And by the way, if you watch this channel, you know damn well I don't think the XFL is going to be anything. I think it's going to die a death just like the first XFL carnation. That's not being a hater, that's just seeing the numbers for what they are. There is just zero interest in another football league. Right after the Super Bowl when we all need to catch our breaths. But he's too stubborn to see that, and he's willing to spend $400 million up front. And he's hoping that if it can stand on its own 2 feet, he'll get that money back in the future with TV deals. With all this revenue that comes along with a successful football promotion. However, he didn't think about something that could wabaka the whole world, like what we are all going through now. He didn't plan on canceling out the rest of his first season of the XFL being back. Well, you can't make any money back if you're not on TV, obviously. You can't make any money back if your product isn't even being shown, if nobody is being exposed to it. So if he was planning on making even just the $400 million back up front in just about 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years, that just got pushed back drastically. And that, my friends, is even playing to the notion that XFL will be here in 5 or 6 years. He's already looking at a huge net loss from that XFL. But now the WrestleMania season is here. He's thinking that at least will bring me in millions of dollars. That at least I can lay my head down at night on that nice comfy pillow filled with cash. However, this wabaka also affected his precious WrestleMania. And the fact that you have not been listening to your fans for years, so the interest, the excitement wasn't there to begin with, then this wabaka takes you out, and you can't perform in Tampa where you were going to gain those tens of millions of dollars. Now you need the fans more than ever, but you've already turned your back on them. So now you're trying to hype up this too big for one night, right? We're going to have WrestleMania 2 nights, and it's going to be at the Performance Center. No crowd. We really need you guys to show up for us. Please. Are you kidding me? How much is this dude losing for WrestleMania, you ask? He is losing, get ready for this, because this is mind-numbingly astounding. He's about to lose approximately $16 million at the gate for Mania alone from Tampa. $16 million. A combined $6 million for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and the Hall of Fame that were all emanating from Tampa. So that's another $6 million on top of the 16. Another $4 million for Mania merchandise, and up to $1 million in appearance fees like access VIP signings and such. So the total ends up at a loss of roughly $27 million. Nearly $30 million this dude stands to lose. He thought he had all his ducks lined up in a row. He thought he was being the conniving genius that he honestly thinks he is in his own dome piece. But wow, this wabaka has humbled him. Has planted his ass firmly on the ground. Now you subtract approximately $1 million for the expenses to actually put on the show. You know, over $200,000 for pyro alone, extra travel and accommodation costs, extra help pumping out and selling merch and miscellaneous costs. And you're still left with approximately $26 million in net loss. That you're not bringing in. That I know he was counting on to help alleviate the loss that he has suffered with the XFL. This upwards of nearly $30 million was hugely going to help. And by the way, that's not even counting pay-per-view and any new subscriber rates. That was just the upfront $25 to $30 million. But instead of postponing or rescheduling, he's going for a Hail Mary. He's going to try and make a killing on network subscriptions. That's the real reason for 2 nights. It's double the chances that people will buy the network. He's going to try to sell you on the fact that they're trying to keep the numbers down at the performance center. So they're going to try to do over 2 nights. And while there may be some truth to that, don't think for 1 second that the old man in Stamford doesn't make any decision first and foremost based on financial loss/gain. 2 nights means double the chances for network subscriptions. Because Vince knows, along with the XFL, the network has been his biggest failure. He had projections of 3 to 4 million subs by 2020. I'll say that again. Vince McMahon had projections of 3 to 4 million network subscription rates and buys by the year 2020. Well, it's 2020. He is currently at 1.4 million subscribers, and 75,000 of them were free subscribers. But even if we wanted to be generous and give Vince the 75,000 free subs for his overall 1.4 number, that still isn't even half of his 3 to 4 million goal and projection for 2020. He said 3 to 4. So let's use the number 3.5 million as our targeted goal. Well, 1.4 puts you over 2 million short of that goal. That's not just a fail, but that is a catastrophic fail. He is over 2 million subscriptions short of his goal. In fact, what he has now doesn't even equal 2 million. So he needs more than he even has right now. He only has 1.4. And again, if you take away the 75,000 free subs, he's under 1.4. That's not just a failure. And again, I'm not just trying to hate. I want to see this company succeed. But wow. You were hoping for 3.5 at least. And you ended up with 1.4 in 2020. Dude, are you serious? And you ask, how did this happen? Are you serious? Have you not watched this channel the last 3 years? I foreshadowed this from day one. I saw this company and where it was going. I saw this coming when not a lot of people wanted to listen. When a lot of people thought I was over-exaggerating and just being negative. But I was just giving you guys numbers, statistics, what I was seeing from the jump. I was raising the alarm and nobody wanted to hear it. Oh, Vince is making millions. He's a billionaire, BC. The company is a $1 billion company. He's not losing anything. The company's not in shambles. And I tried to tell you guys, just because you're doing good now doesn't mean you're set up for the long term. It's called a money grab. Any one of you can do a quick money grab. That does not mean you're set for the long term. In fact, when you do a money grab, you're probably going to burn bridges. You're probably not going to be able to turn back to the same outlets you once got that money from. That's the truth when it comes to a money grab. He cashed in the $1 billion deal, but with all these numbers going down, do you honestly think he'll ever get anywhere near $1 billion again in the future? Not going to happen. A country is paying him tens of millions of dollars because he's promising WrestleMania type events. Do you honestly think when this deal is done, he's ever going to get that type of deal ever again? A country is going to give him that amount of money? No. He's cashing in now. Don't you see the writing is on the wall? All of the money is going to the XFL. He no longer cares about the WWE. And you saw that. His own board members are suing him because they're saying he's neglecting the WWE. Which is a breach in all the contract. They're saying he's actually taking money from WWE and putting it to the XFL. All we know is that he's selling his shares and doing such, but they're saying he's unethically doing such. That remains to be seen if it goes to a trial or reaches an agreement with any details that emerge. But I'm deeply looking into that because his own board members now are saying this is not right, and he's no longer caring about the company when I've been saying this for years, and I'm not a part of the board. I told you guys, don't doubt me on this. I saw it coming from day one. He's trying to cash in now, a money grab. And when it gets too low that he's about to sink, that the whole ship is about to sink, he's going to jump off and sell. And by then, he's hoping that his XFL is off the ground and running full steam. But wow, was this a huge snag here in 2020 already. The Wabaka has literally Wabaka'd the XFL, probably into oblivion. I don't even know if the XFL can come back from this. I mean, it was already sinking. That ship was sinking already the early part of 2020. The ratings from week 1 were dripping by the droves. Even if they finished their season, the XFL was about to be in obscurity. How the hell does that come back? Who knows? Vince is going to have to usher hundreds more millions of dollars into it. Where's it going to come from? Obviously the WWE, which is already being neglected. But the writing's on the wall. I saw the numbers dropping, and the more they dropped, the more stubborn the old man became, and he kept pushing Roman and Charlotte to the forefront, and the numbers kept falling. And in 2019 was the most dreadful of them all. He tried to convince knowledgeable fans that Becky Lynch was the face of WWE. Becky Lynch is the face of even if you love Becky Lynch, you're telling me that's now the face of the company, and then you wonder why asses are not showing up to the arenas, why merchandise has fallen off, why people are no longer watching the product. Because you went from Hulk Hogan to Steve Austin to The Rock to Becky Lynch. And on top of that, simultaneously, he kept pushing Roman and Charlotte as the top of the company as well. That was all happening while he was trying to tell everyone that Becky's the face of the company. Yet Roman and Charlotte also are getting these main events. Not the people that the fans really want to see what they have. Or people that were really starting to get over and he put a kibosh to it. He put a halt to it because he didn't create them. And on top of that, he doesn't want anybody becoming larger than the company. 2019 was the most dreadful of them all. And here we are in 2020. And where do we go from here? The old man just lost all that money from the XFL. The old man just lost all this money from WrestleMania. And he's running out of options for a quick money grab. What else does he have to sell? Monday Night Raw, he's not getting $1 billion on their next deal, I assure you. There's no other country in line waiting to give him tens of millions of dollars to come to their country. And by the way, most of his superstars didn't even want to go to Saudi Arabia. You got high-level talent like Daniel Bryan and John Cena that refuse. And this dude was just all about the money. He didn't even care about his workers. His talent, I should say. Can't even call them workers because he won't give them any benefits. They're not employees. They're contracted talent. But when they try to deliver their services elsewhere, as any contracted talent would do, he then tries to sue you. This dude takes greedy to a whole nother level. Evil to a whole nother level. So what's my point? My point is, everybody likes to say, look at the money that he brought in the last couple of years. The $1 billion from Fox, the tens of millions from Saudi Arabia. And don't get it twisted, the stock that he was selling to pay for all that. But it really looked good, didn't it? Wow, Vince laid down $400 million. Know where this money is coming from. But everybody wants to talk about how rich Vince is, how rich the company is. Look at how we got there. Now look at the future. He already did his money grabs. Nobody else is in line to give him big money. If he does not start listening to the fans, if he doesn't make drastic changes, The writing is on the wall. The company is a sitting duck right now, about to be trampled on by a stampede of elephants. You got a rookie company like AEW. Do you realize, guys, on a show that was in an empty arena, they pulled in nearly 1 million viewers. Triple H and Vince McMahon put NXT on cable television on the USA Network to try to combat some of those numbers. And they did. They pulled in just over 500,000. Do you realize if NXT was not on the USA cable network, that AEW Dynamite show would have pulled in at least 1.250? Do you realize a rookie company like AEW would have already been nearly at a 1.3? And WWE, at times, leaks into a 1.9, and they've been around for decades. A rookie company who is not even established yet. You give them time if WWE does not change things, and a company like AEW could absolutely, within the next few years, stampede them, trample them. It's not too far off, and it's not too hard to believe that that can happen. At this point, him selling the company might be better for all of us. I can't even imagine a company of the WWE without McMahon at the helm. I can't imagine it because I've never lived to see it. My entire life, McMahon was head at the helm. So I can't envision it, but I can only say that it can't get worse, right? And we shouldn't ask ourselves that because that's usually when it does. But with him out of the picture, could it possibly be worse than it is now? There is no excitement for these shows. The people that should be getting pushes are instead the opposite, being put into obscurity and irrelevancy. At this point, even a Disney would have to be better with it, right? You would have to think. I just know that McMahon is having a horrendous 2020. And you want to believe that, okay, he'll get his shit together now because he sees what's happening and he'll put more effort into his wrestling product. But he's too stubborn, and you know that's not the case. You know damn well he's going to double and triple down on the XFL, which means the WWE is just going to suffer even more because, again, he already has that tens of millions of dollars in Saudi deal. He already has the $1 billion from Fox. All he needs to concentrate now on is the XFL in his mind. So I expect 2020 to be even worse than 2019 and before, because he's going to go all out even more for the XFL. How much more does he lose before he realizes this was his bread and butter? This is what brought him to the dance, and his own stubbornness, his own ego is what ended up killing it in the long run. Because as sad as it is for me to admit, the last several years in 2020, even without this wabaka that's sweeping the world, sweeping the nation, I've been seeing this happen over the last several years. And now it's just more evident, seeing them not even have a game plan going forward. And the decisions that they make in adversity are mind-numbingly stupider than the original plans they had. A good company, a good boss, a good head honcho, they show their strength in adversity. They show how good they are when calling an audible. This company gets worse and worse. So as hard as it is for me to admit this, I am literally watching this company die a slow death. And it could not be any more tragically sad. We will all watch Raw tonight and see what the hell they possibly bring to the table. If anything, I will be watching with literally zero expectations, and somehow I will still be hugely disappointed, I'm sure, because I don't see this old man with any game plan. I expect some more filler, maybe the Royal Rumble match from 2019 will be played. I expect useless filler tonight on Raw, with useless lack of evolution in stories. And when it's all said and done, I expect us not to care at all about what is happening for WrestleMania. That's just the truth. You can call it negative. I just call it realistic. In 2020, McMahon is losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. This is the time for him to get his shit together, to put the company back where it belongs. It's not hard to do. Something tells me he's going to refuse. And it's going to get even worse. The Amplified Man. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Raw review and reaction. Check you later.